In this example, we have our first fraction, 3x plus 6 over 2x squared minus 5x plus 3, divided by our second fraction, 3x minus 3 over 2x minus 3. So we're going to convert this to a multiplication of rational expression. So I'm just going to flip the second fraction. The first fraction will stay the same. Alright. Sorry, I meant to change this into multiplication. So we flip the second fraction and convert it into a multiplication. So let's look at each part, which one that we can factor. Let's take a look at 3x plus 6. You can factor this by GCF. Both terms are divisible by 3. So my GCF will be on the outside of the parenthesis. 3x divided by 3 will be x. Positive 6 divided by 3 will be plus 2. Next, let's take a look at 3x minus 3. So both of these terms are divisible by 3. So we're going to factor by GCF. So my GCF will be outside of parenthesis. So 3x divided by 3 will be x. Negative 3 divided by 3 will be negative 1. Now if I take a closer look at 2x minus 3, nothing in common, so I can't factor it by GCF, nor factor by trinomial. Now we're going to look at 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. Alright, there's nothing in common between each of the three terms, so we're not going to factor by GCF. Unlike the previous example, we're just going to go straight into factoring trinomial, just like in 5.2. So it will be 2x minus 3 times x minus 1. Now if you want to double check, you can always forward to see if it matches. In this case, it will. So those are our factors. Next, we're going to bring it into our fraction. Now, I'm going to write it as one big fraction, so make sure to include your parentheses when you do that. So the 3x plus 6, I'm going to replace it with what we have here. And then 2x minus 3, I didn't do anything to it, so it will stay the same. The 2x squared minus 5x plus 3, I'm going to replace it with this. And then the 3x minus 3, I'm going to replace it with this. Alright, now look for common factors that you can divide into 1. I have a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom, so that will become 1. And then I also have 2x minus 3 on the top and on the bottom. Both of them will become 1. And there's nothing else I can divide. I have 2x minus 1 on the bottom, so I'm not going to mess with them. And I cannot divide them. Again, the only way you can divide common factors is if you divide 1 from the top, 1 from the bottom. Or 1 from the bottom and 1 from the top. Not in the same rows. So these two x minus 1s are on the bottom. Since there's 2 of them, then I'm going to leave them there because there's no x minus 1 on the top. Again, you cannot divide in the same place. So if they're both on the bottom, you can't divide them. Again, you can only divide a common factor from the same amount. 1 from the top, 1 from the bottom. Or 2 from the top, 2 from the bottom. That's all. That's how the process is, but not from the same area. So not from the bottom or not from the top, like x minus 1 that are on the bottom. Alright. So we have 1 times x plus 2 times 1 over 1 times x minus 1 times 1 times x minus 1. So basically 1 times x plus 2 will be x plus 2, and then times 1 again will just be the same, x plus 2 on the top. And then in the denominator, 1 times x minus 1 will just be x minus 1. X minus 1 times 1 will be the same thing, x minus 1, multiplied by another x minus 1. So this is what it look like. Now, since you have two factors of x minus 1 in the denominator, you can rewrite it as like this. X minus 1 squared. You can only do that if you have common factors in the same area, which is in this case in the denominator. So when you do that, you can write it as a shorthand to make it smaller, simpler, easier. And this will be our final answer. So x plus 2 over the square of x minus 1.